You bought a boring little cleaning business that nobody cared about. No flashy office, no exciting brand, no big team. Just a few workers, a cheap website, a stressed owner, and a phone that kept ringing all day. Most people would never look at a business like this twice. But you did, because when you looked closer, you saw something strange. The business wasn't failing because people didn't want the service. It was failing because it was badly managed. Calls were missed, leads were ignored, appointments were forgotten, reviews were terrible, and money was leaking out of the business every single day. That's when you realized something powerful. This wasn't a bad business. It was a good business trapped inside a bad system. And instead of hiring a big team and burning cash, you made one unusual decision. You brought in AI, and that changed everything. On paper, this company didn't look exciting at all. It was a local residential cleaning business, mostly houses, a few apartment cleanings, some repeat customers, a handful of part-time cleaners. That's it. No innovation, no sexy tech angle, no huge social media following. And the owner, he was burned out. He had started the business years ago with a simple goal: build a stable local service company and earn a good income. And for a while it worked. But over time, the problems piled up. He was doing everything himself, answering calls, booking jobs, following up with customers, managing cleaners, handling complaints, collecting payments, updating schedules. Every day felt like survival. And when one person becomes the entire system, the business becomes fragile. If he got busy, leads were missed. If he got tired, follow-ups never happened. If he forgot something, customers got frustrated. The business didn't have a demand problem. It had an operations problem. Now, here's where most people make a mistake. They look at a messy business and assume the whole business is broken. But smart operators ask a different question. Is the demand broken, or is the system broken? That question changes everything. Because when you looked deeper, you found something very interesting. People still wanted the service. There were still inquiries every week. There were still repeat customers. There were still neighborhoods with strong demand. There were still homeowners willing to pay for convenience. The business was getting attention. It just wasn't converting that attention into money. That meant the opportunity wasn't in inventing something new. The opportunity was in fixing what was already there, and that is one of the most powerful wealth lessons in business. Sometimes the biggest money is not in creating demand. Sometimes it's in capturing the demand everyone else is wasting. So you made the decision to buy it, not because it looked impressive, not because it was trendy, and definitely not because you thought AI was some magic button. You bought it because the fundamentals made sense. The acquisition price was reasonable. The service was needed. The business had existing customers, and the biggest problems were operational, not structural. That matters, because structural problems are hard. If nobody wants the service, you have a serious problem. If the market is dying, you have a serious problem. If the economics make no sense, you have a serious problem. But if customers want the service and the business is simply inefficient, that can often be fixed. So instead of paying for hype, you paid for opportunity. And after the deal closed, the real work began. The first week after taking over, you didn't start by spending money. You started by watching. You listened to calls. You read customer reviews. You tracked how leads came in. You watched how jobs were booked. You looked at how the team communicated. And very quickly, the pattern became obvious. The business was leaking money in 4 places. First, it missed too many calls. Second, it responded too slowly to inquiries. Third, It forgot to follow up with customers. And fourth, it did almost nothing to bring customers back. That's when the AI plan became clear. You didn't need AI to replace the whole business. You needed AI to strengthen the weak points. That's the real power of technology in a small business. Not hype, not gimmicks, leverage. The first tool you added was simple but powerful, an AI receptionist system. Now, instead of every missed call becoming lost money, the business had a system that could respond instantly, collect customer details, answer basic questions, and guide people toward booking. That alone changed the game, because in local service businesses, speed matters. A customer who wants a quote usually doesn't wait around forever. They call the next company, and the next one, and the next one. So every missed call wasn't just a missed call, it was a missed sale. Then you added AI follow-up. If someone inquired but didn't book, the system checked in automatically. If someone finished a service, the system asked for a review. If someone had not booked in a while, the system reached out again. And suddenly, the business stopped acting like a sleepy local company and started acting like a machine. But calls and follow-up were only part of the problem. The second big mess was scheduling. Jobs were double booked. Cleaner routes were inefficient. Customers were confused. Arrival windows were unclear. So the next move was simple. Use AI-assisted scheduling and smarter workflow automation. Now jobs could be organized better. Cleaner availability could be tracked clearly. Customers could receive updates automatically, and the business could spend less time apologizing and more time delivering. This is something many people underestimate. Operational chaos destroys trust, and trust matters more than people think. A customer may forgive a small business for not being fancy, but they won't forgive confusion forever. When service becomes reliable, the business becomes stronger. Then came one of the most underrated moves of all. You turn the business into a review machine. Before, happy customers would leave, and nothing happened. No follow-up, no review request, no reputation-building system. So even when the service went well, the business got no long-term benefit. That changed. Now every completed job triggered a polite, automated message asking for feedback and reviews, and over time, those reviews started stacking up. That mattered more than it seemed, because in local services, trust drives conversions. When a customer sees a business with better ratings, faster replies, and stronger credibility, booking becomes easier. The company didn't just become more efficient, it became more believable. And credibility is one of the highest return assets a local business can build. Now, something important started to happen. The business stopped relying only on random demand. It started building a system. And systems create stability. Instead of waiting and hoping customers would show up, the company now had faster response times, better lead capture, automated follow-up, stronger reviews, smarter scheduling, more consistent customer communication. Each improvement looked small by itself, but together they changed the economics of the company. Because every extra lead captured, every extra review earned, and every repeat booking recovered pushed revenue higher, without requiring massive overhead. This is where many beginners get confused. They think growth only comes from more ads, but often the cheapest growth comes from fixing the conversion and retention problems you already have. Then the numbers began to show it. More leads were converting, fewer calls were being wasted, repeat bookings started rising. The team became more organized. Complaints went down, reviews improved, and suddenly the same boring business that looked sleepy and forgettable began producing stronger monthly cash flow. Not because AI did magic, Because AI helped the business do the basics better. That distinction matters. People love to imagine that winning businesses are built by genius ideas, but many are built by consistency, systems, and small advantages repeated over and over again. That's how cash machines are built, not always through excitement, often through discipline. And this is the bigger lesson. This story is not just about one cleaning business, it's about how modern wealth is being built quietly. Not everyone is launching the next billion-dollar app. Not everyone is becoming a celebrity entrepreneur. And not everyone needs to. Some people are buying simple businesses, then making them smarter. A cleaning business, a laundromat, a car wash, a med spa, a pest control company, a landscaping business, a storage facility. The game is changing. The winners are often the people who can combine old-school cash flow businesses with modern tools. That combination is powerful because boring businesses already have demand. Technology helps them unlock more value. Here's what most people miss. They chase excitement, they chase trends, they chase status, they chase flashy ideas that sound impressive in conversation. But money often hides in places that look ordinary. The problem is that ordinary businesses require a different kind of mindset. You have to respect the basics. You have to care about systems. You have to fix boring problems. And you have to think like an operator, not just a dreamer. That's why opportunities like this are overlooked, because they are not glamorous enough for most people. But for the right person, that's exactly what makes them valuable. So, in the end, what happened? You didn't buy a glamorous company. You didn't invent a new technology. And you didn't build a viral startup. You bought a boring business with real demand, fixed the weak points, used AI as leverage, and turned it into a stronger, smarter, more profitable machine. That's the beauty of this model. It's understandable, it's repeatable, and for the right operator, it can be incredibly profitable. Because the real money move was never the business alone. It was the system built around it.